So we're going to do the 1999 movie Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser and Alicia Silverstone. Well, she's still a good-looking woman, but back in the day, man, Alicia Silverstone, what a fox, man. Okay, so speaking of which, Firefox open. All right, so let me give you the gist of the plot. There's a very intelligent professor at Caltech named Calvin Weber. It's the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he has built, over the last few years, a fallout shelter underneath his house in suburban California. And he gets freaked out because of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and so he gets the family, his pregnant wife and himself, down into the fallout shelter, and just as like a precaution, and then all of a sudden a U.S. military plane crashes into his house, and he thinks that the bomb has been dropped in Los Angeles, and so they got to ride it out for 30 years before the radioactive fallout's gone. And so he has everything. He's a brilliant man. He's got everything they need down there for 30 years, and he delivers the baby. They start raising their son, this Brendan Fraser, who is their son, named Adam Weber, who they named for obvious reasons. And so 30 years pass, the lock's open, and Calvin steps out into the world of 1999. And he's completely shocked by it, to say the least. I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen this movie, but you should see this movie. And so he freaks out, and he comes back down into the fallout shelter. He tells them what he's seen. And he kind of freaks out, has a little bit of a cardiac incident, and they're going to need more supplies. We're going to lock it up for another 30 years and let society sort itself out. Apparently it's been nothing but chaos since the bomb. But we need supplies to last another 30 years. So the idea is we're going to take Brendan Fraser, the son, to go up and get the supplies they need. That's the plot. And he's 30 years old. He kind of, I was hoping when I'm up there, if I meet a nice girl, and they're like, well, yeah, if you find a nice young girl, bring her on down, especially if she's from the Valley. His mom's real, those girls from the Valley, just a little bit nicer. Anyway, so what this movie is about is really, it's a good old-fashioned American way to raise children. Both a mother and a father, very active in the child's life in terms of education and doing everything. His father teaches him how to box. His mother teaches him how to dance, daily classes, learning multiple languages. It's raising an intelligent person, homeschooling him, if you will. And he's incredibly capable, intelligent, polite, kind. Yeah, he may come to the surface and say things like, oh, my stars, a Negro. How do you do, ma'am? But you can't have it all. And sure, he may think that a nuke was dropped on Los Angeles, but he still comes out of the shelter and he's gawping at the sky like it's somebody who's never seen it before, because he never has. He's got this childlike wonder about the world because he's never seen a little girl, never seen a Negro, never seen any of these things before. And he's just so excited, looking at the world with childlike eyes, with that kind of innocence, and just doing things like staying outside when it's raining. To experience the world. He's the kind of guy that believes that everything is a miracle. And that's what, we used to raise children to believe, is that, there's a God in this universe, and it is beautiful, and it's miraculous. Everything about it is worth defending and doing your duty for God and so forth, and preserving the world. And so his parents don't think he's safe on the surface, so they go to get him supplies. They have him go get supplies. And in the process, he realizes his parents didn't have enough money because they didn't account for inflation, I suppose. But he brought his baseball card collection, which he was able to sell very easily for thousands upon thousands of dollars. It's the first scene, and the guy comes in and is like, these are much older than the ones you have in the window, but I was wondering maybe if I can get a few bucks for these. How much do you want for this Mickey Mantle rookie card? Tell you what, I'll give you $20 for the whole lot. What do you think? Those are smaller bills, right? And so Alicia Silverstone helps him from getting, taken for a ride on that deal, and starts getting involved in his life, because he's weird because he's nice and polite and he's naive about things like homosexuality and pornography, naive about many things, and so doesn't get sarcasm and so forth. And he's supposed to be getting these supplies, and there's a scene where he's trying to go get burgers, and it's my favorite scene in the entire movie, because it's what I would say it's the pinnacle of tight, hilarious writing. All right, so Adam goes into this grocery store. He needs to get a bunch of hamburgers for his parents and himself to stay in the shelter for another 30 years. And so he comes up to the butcher at the grocery store, and he's like, "Excuse me, do you have hamburgers?" And he goes, "Fresh or frozen?" Come on, frozen. And he's like, "Yeah, we have frozen." And he's like, "Okay, I'm going to need 300 pounds of hamburger patties, 300. And he's like, "You can get an order." And the guy jumps in. You can get an order that large delivered to your home." "Really?" Adam responds. "Although it just occurs to me, I don't know where my home is." "Do you know where I live?" "No, I don't." "Will you excuse me?" "Gladly." And Adam goes off. And it's my favorite scene because, for example, that guy, that butcher, he grew up in the world that Adam comes from, but he is also jaded, but he's still like everyone else on the surface. He's jaded in a way that Brendan Fraser and his family are not. And so, but even he remembers an era where we spoke to each other that way. And and you could get your smart ass comments out even in a very polite way. And that's what I really like, is because he's also getting on people's cases for, taking the Lord's name in vain and blaspheming. You can get on me about that. People have gotten on me about that. Sorry. But that's the world. That's the world he comes from. And it's admittedly a better world. So Adam is looking for a wife, and Eve is kind of resistant to that fact. Like many people who were raised above ground, many women who are raised above ground, they think where everyone is getting divorced, she is so she's pensive and resistant to that kind of commitment. But Adam was raised right, and he knew what he wanted out of life. And very few women, even in 1999 and beyond, they don't know what to make of a man like that. They think there's something sinister underneath. It's like, she's like, "You said he wants to take me underground." That's like Silence of the Lambs. Like, he's so proper and polite, and she calls him a gentleman and calls her a lady. He has perfect table manners. It's like, it doesn't sit right. People aren't like this anymore. They could be again, though. That's the point. And if you raise a kid right, you could have a child like Adam, and so that's what I mean. It's like Eve has never seen a man like that before. So, Blast from the Past, 1999 movie, 12 of 13 stars. The only thing I would fault it on is that, which is hard to say because it kind of really works in the movie, is that Christopher Walken and Sissy Spacek kind of chewed the scenery a little bit. But it kind of works because they're supposed to be from this weird, not only is Calvin intelligent, he's also, like many intelligent people, quite eccentric. And so they're kind of, I don't know. It's they're chewing the scenery a little bit, and I was like, but it works. So I kind of feel guilty for taking that away. And speaking of Calvin and his genius, he had a real good point at the end of the movie where he's talking about what happened with Russia, the fall of the Soviet Union. He's like, "I bet they even asked the West for aid." Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, commies. And he starts pacing out another fallout shelter, as well he should, because after all, he was brilliant. And communism is still a problem to this very day. 12 of 13 stars, Blast from the Past.
The madman loves you all, from the big to the small.